got to the garden party, they all knew my name. No one recognized me, I didn't look the same. But it's alright now, I learned my lesson well. You see, you can't please everyone, so you got to please yourself.
All right, 6 minutes after 9 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this beautiful Tuesday. Beautiful day, all day long. Beautiful.
Oh, gorgeous.
And then tonight's when cold temperatures are moving.
Right, yeah, then the bottom falls out of it.
Carolyn Baldwin is here to answer your questions about your garden. The number is 622-WOCA if you'd like to speak to Carolyn. And, of course, that is a sponsored phone number, sponsored by our friends over at the Climate Control. I think real quick.
You've had a hard time with them. Since they came on.
It's not really a hard. It's like when I go off the course. Like if I don't say it exactly according to the memorized thing.
Right.
The WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline. That'll roll off. I'll be saying that in the rocking chair one day.
Right. You'll hear the phone ring, or somebody will ask you your phone number. Well, it's sponsored by.
Yeah, well, because there's damage control and then there's climate control, and I don't want to mix the two up.
Yeah,
but anyway.
Sure.
So anyway,
now we got plant control.
Call us up. Yes, plant control.
Plant control.
So
Good morning,
do you have a website?
No, I don't. Okay. No, I probably should, but I don't. It's just I'm
Somebody
not
asked me, and I thought I would ask you. Now I can't remember who asked. If it was a listener, they got their answer. If not,
right,
I'll get a phone call later on.
What'd she say about it? No, I don't. I don't have a webpage, and I don't have a. Besides my personal Facebook page,
but
I don't
you have a Facebook presence, yeah.
Yeah, I have my own, But you don't
put gardening stuff in there necessarily.
No, not necessarily. No, I mean there's a few friends, regular listeners, such that that we'll go back and forth on a few things. Just because my friends know I do garden and plants and all the rest of it. So. But not on a regular basis. I know I probably should sit down and do something like that because people say, "Why don't you do that?" Because I'm lazy, I guess. It's one more thing to do.
Did I tell you about the lady in my neighborhood who knocked on my door and asked me if she could have? And she pointed to the backyard and she named the plant. And I said, "Which one is that?" And she said, "That one right there." And I said, "Okay, whatever you're pointing at, you can have because I don't even know what you're pointing
what
at."
What it is. No.
She said, "You don't have any personal, emotional attachment?" I said, "No, I don't have any of them."
No, they came with the house.
I don't know what she wanted. I don't know. I didn't see anything missing.
Don't know what it was that she dug up, or
it didn't look like she dug up anything. She must have just clipped some leaves or something.
Or maybe took a seed pod.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
but she asked permission first.
Oh, that was nice. Yeah, it's always nice to knock on the door and ask permission, yeah.
But isn't it kind of cold to be planting things?
It depends. Some things will just sit dormant for the season, and they won't come up until spring. Some of your spring and summer blooming bulbs would be better to put in now. Just because they'll just sit there. They'll get their winter chill, and they'll come up when the soil warms enough. And we've been having enough cold spells that have actually been a little bit on the long side. They're lasting more than a night or two.
Yeah, right.
They're going 3 and 4 nights.
Like the one coming up.
Right, the one coming up is supposed to be 5 days or 4 days, and it's burr. I don't like that when the temperatures aren't going to get over 60 degrees. It's just, that's too cold. Makes me want to stay in the house. It makes you scrunch your shoulders up when you walk down when you get out of the car and walk down the street or anything. Yeah. But that those kind of plants that they will sit and hopefully they will stay in that dormancy long enough that they won't pop out too early, that it'll just hold them, because most of the bulbs and things that you buy in the stores, if they needed any cold treatment, they've already had it. So sometimes we put them in the ground and it triggers them, especially here in Central Florida, to begin to grow. They're okay. Here we go. You had us in the fridge in Vermont, or in colder warehouses, wherever they were grown for planting. Because most of it's not grown here locally, and then planted.
Some plants are just looking awful, and Doug's poinsettias are looking beautiful. It's unbelievable how good they look considering what the cold weather did.
With how cold we've been,
yeah.
That is that. And actually, I've had a few plants that really have not taken too bad of a hit. Now my gingers got it the last time. I need to get out there and knock them back a little bit, just so that just take off some of the ugly. till they finally dry up all the way,
Right,
and
right,
then I
right.
pull them all, and then I can pull up all the dead stalks and do that. But I try not to, they're really brown now. And
So I think I have to get a new tool for my banana plant.
oh, do you?
Because I don't really have anything to really cut it. I mean, I can use a knife, I guess.
If you're going to use a knife, make sure, of course, it's big enough and you're strong enough to be able to catch that top or have somebody hold on to it where you can either, because you don't
Right.
want it to break and tear down the side.
Right,
Like with
right,
like
okay.
cutting any limb. I've done the baseball bat swing with a machete.
Well, I've heard you say that.
Yeah, you take the machete and you just, because to hit it hard enough.
That sounds like fun, actually. But
It's-
how
yeah.
often will I use that machete if I buy one?
That's it. You may just do a limb saw or again a knife. It's not going to contaminate
I could
your
hire
knife.
myself out.
You can hire.
Half machete will travel.
We'll travel. We'll swing. But that's an easy way. If on some of the smaller ones, but the bigger ones, a serrated knife actually does a good job, or a serrated
Right.
limb saw, because they're very fleshy. They're very wet. And if you do use a knife out of the kitchen, just
That's
wash
what I
it
should get, a
off.
limb
Yeah.
saw, because I can use that a
Yeah.
lot.
Right.
That's like,
Right,
like
just-
the Boy Scouts, the big.
Right. Just the one with it usually has a little bit of a curve to the blade and serration, and that should
Yeah.
go through pretty good. Even any actual saw blade will go through them. Because, like I said, they're
Just cut it-
very fleshy.
What'd you say,
they're
4
very
feet
wet.
above the ground, 3 feet above?
I'd go at least 4. Yeah, I'd go at least, because that was always mine. It was shoulder height. I'm only just over 5 feet tall, so I'm only like 5'3". So I can only cut so high unless I stand on something else. But a lot of people too will also just go out with a knife or very sharp pruners, and in the springtime when danger of frost is past, is just cut off the dead leaves and leaving it. It's very tall, but you've got a taller start. And some folks will wait for that first leaf to start to unfurl out of there and go, okay, it's still alive. Also, that's all I have to do. And then you're starting with an 8-foot tree
Yeah.
or a 6-foot tree, however
You know what's
big
amazing?
you were.
How quickly that thing comes up.
Oh, it's
I cut it one year, and maybe
Within-
a half hour later,
you started
it was
to see
4 or 5
right,
inches tall.
right.
It's like, whoa.
Because that's because you probably came down a ways.
Yeah, yeah.
If you come down, it's ready to grow. It's coming up out
amazing,
of there
really.
to pop up. So it's those kind of things. But we're still putting off on that. Keep the pruners.
do anything
keep the
yet.
pruners. Sharpen them up. Give them a little coat of oil. Get them ready. Get them lined up there. Make sure they are. Maybe you do need to send your pruners out for sharpening if you don't do them yourself. You might want to do that now because you'd want them back
Who do you go to?
in time. I just sharpen my own.
Oh, you do your own?
Yeah, I sharpen my own. It's not that hard.
What do you use?
Depends on the tool. It's you can use. I use a file, or they make a regular sharpening tool for like your pruners that you just cut across. If I'm using a knife, I've got a whetstone.
Whetstone.
Yeah, just a whetstone, and sharpen them up. Just really pretty simple to keep them maintained, and sharp tools do a better job. And just like if you're, to do it as a kitchen reference, if you cut yourself with a sharp tool, it's better than cutting yourself with a dull tool, because it makes a cleaner cut. It makes it heal better. Instead of
yeah,
a tear,
right.
it's a cut. So it's one
yeah,
of those
yeah,
kind of
right,
things.
right.
Though nobody wants to think of that.
No.
I've learned the hard way. When pruning grapes, you put your left hand, if you're right-handed, behind your back and prune. Otherwise, you try to take off the tips of your fingers because they look just like grapevines.
Ah.
And you go snip, and you snip off the end of your finger.
Have you done that?
Yes. When it grew back, I
you
taped
missing?
it back up. No, I did. It's just numb on the where it
Oh,
did.
wow.
Yeah, I tried to cut the tip off.
So we had a guy on the phone this morning who said he cut off.
I heard it. Yeah, with the Red Ryder
Yeah.
BB. Be
Wow, it's a
careful
theme
with those
going
things.
today.
Yeah, cutting off fingertips. But it cuts. It actually does the job better too with a sharp
Hey, Joe.
with a sharp tool versus a dull tool. Waving at Joe. If your tools aren't sharp, they're gonna tear through the branches instead of cutting through them. If your lawnmower blades aren't sharp, they're gonna make a ragged cut on your grass instead of a nice sharp cut, which is healthier for the plant. A nice, again,
I gotta
Same
do that.
thing.
I gotta do
cut
that.
your
I
finger
haven't
off
sharpened
with a
my
sharp.
lawnmower in years.
Yeah, and it may even be time when you get looking under, or if you're going to take it somewhere to have them sharpened, you might look at those blades and go, oh wow, you know what? It's time for new ones.
New blades.
And probably every couple of years isn't going to hurt to the investment. You pay a lot of money for a lawnmower. You pay a lot of, well, not everybody does, but put some money into a lawn. You want your lawn to look nice, so cutting it right makes it better. So sometimes occasionally replacing those blades, not just sharpening them, is going to give you
what
a
happened to
better
me one
cut.
time with my lawnmower?
What's that?
This sometime about this time of year. I brought my lawnmower in to be fixed, thinking I've got till spring. I'm not in a hurry. And so the guy said, okay, we'll fix it. And I waited and never got a call. And then I finally, maybe it was around May or something, I called him up and I said, I brought a lawnmower in back in January and I never got a call. Oh, it's here. Oh, okay. Is it done? Because nobody ever called me. No, we called you. You called me. Yes, we left a message in the machine. And back then, it was real machines.
Right, it was a machine.
It wasn't
right,
like
right.
this-
It was a tape recorded. Right.
It was a cassette.
Right.
So I said, okay, well, I'll be in to get it. Well, you've got a storage fee to pay. So I said, how much? So he told me how much. It was like $325.
They keep the mower.
Right. I said, he said, well, that's more than the lawnmower's worth. He says, I'm sorry, but if you want your lawnmower back, that's what you have to pay. I said, well, what are you going to do if I don't come and get it? He said, we're going to sell it. I said, how much will you sell it for? $125. I said, well, I'll just come and buy it. It's cheaper to buy it.
Right.
He said, well, no, we can't sell it to you. We'll sell it to somebody else.
So you get somebody else.
I said, you don't remember me.
You don't know who
I'm never
I am.
in there. I was in there one time.
Hey, yeah, you could have walked in and gone, hey, do you got any used lawnmowers? And they would have never known.
I promise you, I never got a message.
No. Oh, you probably
I wouldn't have
did.
done that. It was like a
No.
$25 repair.
Right. It was just an oil change and a spark plug kind of thing, probably.
Probably, yeah.
And the blade sharpened.
And we have a phone call. You ready?
Right.
Good morning. You're on the air with Carol Ann.
Good morning, Carol Ann.
Morning.
When I was younger, but I had a house, and every spring you could hear the bell ring, and a guy in a custom truck had a lot of windows, and it would come by, and he would sharpen anything you needed sharpened. Including
Nice.
lawnmower blades, the real type lawnmowers. He'd take them apart, sharpen those things up, your hedge clippers, your pruning shears, your kitchen knives, everything.
Right.
And it wasn't expensive. It was a lot cheaper than going out and buying all new stuff again.
Oh, sure.
And just one of the good things from the good old days.
Oh, yeah. Yes. There's at least a lot of the tools now, they still can be sharpened. It is either learning how to do it or finding someone, and I'm not real sure. I mean, I would probably be looking at some of the independent lawnmower sales places would probably be the ones to call to find somebody who would actually sharpen them. Not the big box.
Somebody could. That sounds like a good
retail, but-
entrepreneurial idea.
Yeah,
Somebody, because nobody does it anymore.
Right, is having a drop-off service, which I know there was a time when I think a couple of the hardware stores had a guy who would do like razor sharpening as well as scissor sharpening and all that stuff. Because folks who do a lot of sewing also need their scissors sharpened on a regular basis and that kind of thing. So just shop
the
around.
Scissors, you used to be able to he'd take them apart and
Right.
do each.
Right, each blade, each side of the blade, and oil them and
clean them up, and we're ready to roll. But
Yeah.
it came to you. You didn't have to go anywhere.
nice. That's sweet.
Well, anyway, we probably could bring something like that back.
Yeah, I'm
I
sure
don't
that
know
would work.
if it'd be cost effective, or the government would regulate the daylights hours.
Well, but that's a good
Anyway.
idea for somebody. Yeah, hey, somebody with some skill who knows how to operate the proper hand, like grinders and files and things like that. Here's your job opportunity. Here's an entrepreneurial thing.
Yeah,
if you've got your
everything.
van where you got your
He had like a machine in there that looked almost like a key-making machine.
Right.
This had all kinds of gimmicks on it, and a little generator, like a little gas motor, would turn
Right.
a pulley like you would see, and the 1800 type factories.
Right. Yeah, run the pulley, run the little generator, spin the wheel, and spin the grinding stone, and take care of it all. There you go. Somebody with some entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
Get out there and
Just get a magnetic sign for your car.
for the side of your van.
Be in
If you've got a van, you got something place that you can open it up. Have your generator vented out to the outside. So.
Yeah, those were and then we also had the. Even though we didn't really need it because we had refrigeration, but they still had the Iceman come around, and had a lot of stuff come to you in those days. Including the Vegetable Man, his horse dragging the.
Oh yeah, they come down the
street. The wagon was tilted on one side or on both sides, so you could see all the produce that he had.
Back in the day.
Yep. So. I think the only modern improvement we have that we couldn't do without would be the medicine.
There you go.
But I think we lost a lot back then. Plus, you got to know your neighbors better too.
Right. There's a lot more people out here nowadays.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's so much for sharpening, right?
There you go.
Thank you, Sonny.
All right, Sonny. Thanks.
Yes, somebody could do that.
Somebody could bring up an entrepreneur. Yeah, they get a van. If they have a van, like you say, get a magnetic sign printed up, a small generator with a whetstone and a grinding wheel and such like that, and learn how to. I'm sure there's some online courses and trial and error on some old. Hey, you pick up some cheap scissors or tools at some yard sales and things and practice up on and.
I'm wondering about the guys that do the landscaping in the summer that don't have as much work in the winter. That would be a nice thing to do in the winter. Right.
Whether not, but those guys probably do their own equipment on a regular,
on their own. I know, but maybe they.
Oh, they're doing the other stuff, right? Or even as a side, or
offer their services,
or. Employ someone who does that on a regular basis, that you can't get, these two neighbors on this block all use your service, but the other guy mows his own grass and does his own thing, but somebody needs to sharpen his tools. Maybe you can, if you have a guy that can come by and sharpen tools, you've got, so here, we're putting somebody to work. Hopefully
there you go.
Somebody's listening.
Yeah, fill in the gaps.
Fill in the gaps.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, the neighbor that doesn't.
Right.
Use your services
might need somebody to sharpen their tools. So.
Do you know, knock on wood, I haven't changed my spark plug on my lawnmower in years.
Super.
It's an unbelievable,
it runs
just keeps on running.
I had a mower like that as well. Actually, it was my dad's. It was a little. I think he paid $100 for it, and I mowed his lot over there, actually in the same location where you live, and I'd come over once a week, mow the grass, park it back up underneath the trailer, and next week come back and mow. When they moved from Ocala down, I got the mower. The thing ran like a charm. I think even to the. I'm trying to remember what we did with it. We broke it, but I think we kind of used it for something other than what a lawn mowing capability. It was used a little bit more like a brush killer, brush mower after a while. But it was like a little $100 lawn mower, a little 21-inch cut on it. But it was the best mower. You walked up, you put gas in it, you pulled the rope, and it started every time.
By the way, you know that vine I have on the side of my shed?
Yes, your Confederate jasmine,
okay.
Yeah.
I trimmed that, and it left a lot of just stuff. So I was going to mulch it or whatever, chop it up with my lawnmower. Yeah. Not possible. That stuff is like cord.
Oh, it was wrapping around.
It's like rope. Yeah, you can't really run it over.
Yeah, you got to let that dry. Anytime, actually, that's a good, kind of thought there is if you are pulling vines, getting vines out, they're not going to chop up real easy, not right away. But if you were going to, if you thought you might, if you have the space to store it till it dries, probably about a month or so till it, actually loses that strength in it. Because like you say, that jasmine vine is very strong. If you've got a chipper shredder, those will usually take care of it. But I know your size property, you don't need
No chipper
have
shredder.
no need
No.
for that. I mean, probably in the whole neighborhood, one would be enough for the whole neighborhood. But other folks do, and they do. They're going through and they're making their own compost and stuff. And this time of year, sometimes you are cleaning out a lot of that other things. No pruning yet, but if you're picking up the palm fronds that are falling, realize those are hard to chip too, because again, they're very fibrous.
I watched a guy take a tree down the other day, a long, very, very, very tall tree, and
Yeah.
he was a professional,
Right.
And he was way up there.
Oh, those guys scare me when
it
they're up there.
scares me too.
Yeah, I've held the rope on some
And
of those.
he's cutting the limbs, and each limb is roped off so he can lower it slowly.
Bring it down to the ground.
It was an amazing thing to watch. But yeah, I'm thinking the same as you. It's like, okay, that tree is holding him,
right.
but-
and he's cutting it down
but
around him.
Every tree's
Yeah.
there's got to be one tree now and then that doesn't hold him.
Well,
It's just so scary up there.
It's no, we've had a tree guy come into our yard, and it was like, okay, I can't climb that tree. I'm going to climb this tree, and he did. He swung over to the other tree.
Wow.
And did the cutting from there, and it was like, hey, can you send me up a drink? He sent his rope down, and we
You're
tied a
kidding.
soda to
Oh,
it
wow.
and sent it back up to him. Why come down for a...
Oh wow.
just tie
See,
the
no,
beverage to it. And send it
When
up.
we were at WTMC, we needed the towers painted, the broadcast towers.
Yes.
We had 3 of them back then.
Yeah.
I won't explain that.
Right.
I don't even know if I know enough about
Technicality,
it. But anyway, we had 3 towers that need to be painted, and the boss didn't want to pay the normal tower painting guys
Right.
because they were too much. So he got a tree guy.
A climber.
And I said, are you sure this is a good idea? Wouldn't it be better to pay the guy who does it all the time?
Right.
But the tree guy heard what I said. He said, you kidding? This is easier than a tree. A tree could fall. This isn't going to fall.
This isn't going
And
anywhere.
I said, I don't know. It's been up for a long time. But he went up there, and it was
painted away?
unbelievable.
Cool.
Yeah. He just slopped paint around
Yeah,
it.
they just
Didn't
did.
have to be pretty. Just had to
No,
be painted.
just had to get paint on it, keep it from rusting.
Yeah.
There you go. But one thing I will say, this time of year, we keep saying what not to do or what you can be doing. Again, the sharpening of all your tools, looking at your projects that you've got upcoming. This is a good time to clear out some areas that if you're going to put a new flower bed in, a new vegetable garden in, you're going to make the vegetable garden bigger, your herb garden bigger. Good time to do it now is, well, one, you're not going to work up a sweat.
That's
You have,
true.
you have no issue with that, and actually getting out there and doing it now will help warm you up, so you think you're
Yes.
doing okay,
Right.
and you're getting a little exercise, a little fresh air, a little sunshine, and it's not there's not a whole lot of stuff growing in there that you really need to dig out as easily. Another thing you're going to get ready to do, because I just realized it is the 21st of January.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, if you had a crabgrass problem last year before, whatever, it's almost time to start working on that.
I might have crabgrass, but it's not a problem.
It's just you mow it. Yeah, some folks who put a lot more time and energy and investment in their lawns.
Than I do.
A lot of people will only do the front lawn. The backyard doesn't matter. You don't see that as you're going down the street. But crabgrass can be a problem, and everybody goes, well, isn't our grass crabgrass? And it's, yeah, kind of. It's related somehow. But you can, the annoying crabgrass, the one that's the true weed, you can get some control on it. I won't say you will ever eliminate it. But beginning about the 1st of February, so the 1st of February is a weekend, so there you go. If you don't have anything to do that weekend, you can go out and put down some crabgrass preventer. And that comes in as a granule. Use your spreader, set the spreader setting as the bag tells you to. If you haven't calibrated your spreader in a few years, you might even want to do that now before the season starts, so that you know that when you put your fertilizers down, you're doing it right. But you can do the crabgrass preventer now. What that does is stop the crabgrass seed that's sitting there in the dirt from germinating this coming warm season. And you'll do that now, follow the directions on how you water it in, and then about 6 weeks later, so at about the middle of March, about the 15th of March, a good thing to remember on that, last expected frost date, second application of crabgrass preventer. After that, the only thing you can really do is either dig it out as it starts coming up, spraying it with Roundup can be an option if you're extremely careful or don't mind brown dead spots in your yard, polka dots possibly coming up in the yard, because Roundup is a non-selective herbicide. Whatever you spray with, it will kill. You could also try the horticultural use of vinegar as an herbicide. Again, it's non-selective. Whatever you spray with it, you're going to damage or kill. I won't say the vinegar is going to kill the root, though. It will burn the top off. You continually burn the top off the root, you'll eventually kill the root. Baking soda is another thing, though not labeled for use on it. It does seem to kill off crabgrass. And of course, baking soda is not a toxic item, so if you're concerned on that, it's not it's not something that would be harmful once you've put it out. It's not going to be something you got to worry about your dog walking through or your cat. Same thing with vinegar if you're concerned on that. Even though with any of the products out there, when you read and follow the label instructions, they are safe and effective. If they weren't, they wouldn't be marketed. People who get hurt with this kind of stuff usually do not read and follow the instructions, or they use them contrary to what the instructions are. They overmix them, they don't water them in properly, etc. So if you want it to work, read the instructions. That's the best way to go with it. But hold off on your fertilizers and all of that, and that pre-emergent on those they can be used on any of your lawn turfs. It doesn't matter if you have St. Augustine, if you've got the Floritam or the Palmetto, won't matter on that. It won't matter if you have Bahia, any of those. So,
all right. If you would like to call Carol Ann, this is a good time. The number is 622-WOCA. That is the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline. We need to take a break, so if you call right now, you'll be on hold for about 2.5 minutes. We will take that break right now and be right back.
Ooh, it's cold in here. Ooh, it's hot in here.
It's just right in this house.
Looks like 1 out of 3 know about climate control mechanical services in Ocala. The first didn't call 291-0185. The second didn't know to call 291-0185. The third called 291-0185. So the moral of the story? To know is one thing, but to know and take action is another. Climate control mechanical services. Just right.
This is a public notice. Local residents can now save thousands of dollars on their next car, truck, or SUV. It's not a tent sale, because no tent is big enough to hold this many cars. It's OcalaForSale.com. Say goodbye to sticker shock. OcalaForSale.com has thousands of vehicles with no stickers at all. But hurry, don't walk, don't run. Just sit down and log on to OcalaForSale.com. Prices and inventory change daily. Offer does not include dealer upcharge, undercutting, less proofing, factory surcharge, or delivery fee. See website for details.
Here's what you may have missed on the John Tesh Radio Show.
You know, when it comes to getting a job today, a tweet has become the new resume. For most hiring managers, Twitter is key to interaction. Body language communicates emotions much more effectively than facial expressions. Tilt your head if you want to show you're interested, or lean forward if you're sitting, and don't cross your arms. If you have a job interview coming up, then wear a suit, even if you're interviewing for a job at McDonald's.
Intelligence for your life on the John Tesh Radio Show. Don't miss this stuff.
Hi, I'm Yvette, and I'm here to tell you a few things about ABC Frederick's Appliance. They sell not only new, but used guaranteed appliances. When you call ABC Frederick's Appliance, they will provide service on what they sell and any appliances that you own. ABC Frederick's Appliance is located in Bellevue, right over the railroad tracks. Call 352-629-5181. That's 352-629-5181. That's 352-629-5181. ABC Frederick's Appliance.
News Talk 1370, WOCA invites you to discover your full business potential. News Talk Radio is the perfect environment for your advertising. WOCA's News Talk format pinpoints information-hungry, better educated, high-income adults, so use us to talk to them. Call 732-8000, 732-8000. We're Ocala News Talk Radio. News Talk 1370 WOCA.
All right, thank you very much. 25 minutes before 10 o'clock, and the temperature here at the Paddock Mall, 57 degrees.
57.
Tonight dropping to 32, and then the rest of the week, each night, 32, 36, then 27 on Friday, and then by the weekend, 50 is the low again.
So it's it's kind of maybe it's not quite as much of a blast as they were first predicting.
Yeah.
if you've got tender vegetation coming up, maybe in the vegetable garden, you've got some flower seeds coming up, you're going to want to protect them, though. And either the frost blanket, or I'm a fan, I've got the floating, what they call floating row cover, and I put it up at the Ag Center over. If you go by there, there's only one bed that's got theirs up, and it's mine. And I just leave it there. It's not hurting anything. There's enough light getting through it. It's doing fine. It's keeping it protected without becoming a hothouse.
So you're going to have different results than everybody else?
It should be.
Yeah.
And
next year they'll all do it.
Yeah, they've got their hoops are up. They just have to cover them.
All right, and you have a phone call?
Great.
Good morning. You're on there with Carol Ann. Whoa.
Morning.
How are you this morning?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I just called to tell you what I like to do this time of year.
What's that?
I'm getting ready to go down to South Florida to the Florida Nursery Growers Association
Rub it in.
plant show.
Rub it in,
South
Sharon.
has a big party there, too.
Yes, I know. I have to work. Yeah, they don't hold those on the weekends.
For you.
All right, take me pictures, yes.
And I'll stay warm for you, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it'll be a little warmer down there.
Yeah, I heard we're supposed to freeze. It usually freezes when I go to this thing every year, of course, which makes it hard to cover everything.
Oh, yeah. Well, you cover it and leave it. Won't hurt it.
Yeah, that's true, too.
Yeah, cover it and leave it. It's
All right.
usually good for a couple days.
Yes. Well, you have a great week.
All right,
I'll talk to you
thanks.
when I get back and show you some pictures.
Show me pictures, yes, I know. Rub it in. Thanks, Sharon.
Oh, wow. Good morning. You're on there with Carol Ann.
Good morning. Before the break, you were talking about lawns.
Yes.
And I have a lawn service, and I saw this creeping type of grass in my lawn, and I said to him, how about spraying to get rid of this weed? And he said, no, that's not a weed, that's Bermuda grass.
It's still a weed if it's in your yard and you don't want it there.
But what do you think about Bermuda grass?
Actually, they sell the seed for Bermuda grass. Golf courses use some Bermuda grass. It's not really recommended for a lawn in Central Florida. The biggest drawback that I know of is one pest that, should your lawn get it, you can't afford to treat for it, is what happens. Is that it gets a Bermuda mite, and it destroys it, unlike chinch bugs in a St. Augustine, where you can, go out and get a bag or a liquid of a product that will actually take care of it. On this turf mite, you really can't afford to, is what my understanding, to treat for it. It's just too expensive, is the big drawback on that.
Well, he suggested for the patch in my backyard that nothing seems to want to grow, to get the Bermuda seed and sprinkle it in February.
Yeah, I mean, you can, like I said, they sell the seed locally. You can find it. It's just not, I don't think I have that with me on what all the other drawbacks that there are on it. It is a grass. It's just not one that's really that much recommended. I'm not sure what some of the other issues are. But once it gets going, I believe it can take over. Yeah, which that may not be. That's where a lot of people have, because there is a wild Bermuda. Even up in it's funny because in northern states you can buy a weed control that is to control Bermuda grass. Because up there they have, in northern states it's a weed. And even for us it can be, even though they do use some of the improved varieties on golf courses and things like that, but they have full professionals on how to mow it. And I'm trying to think if the Bermuda's another one that may need a different kind of mower to actually mow it properly. If that one's the one that needs a reel, the RE, the rotor, not a rotary mower, but the other mower, in order to mow it properly.
It seems to be a grayish tint to it. It doesn't have that bright green.
Right. If it's an area, what do you have, a lot of shade back there, or is it?
Yes.
Okay, that's why. You may just, you might plant a ground cover in its place, just deal with that as it being green and let it grow and mow it and just try to keep it out of the front, the other part of the yard where you don't want it. If that's a traffic area, pets are out there, kids or whatever, that the backyard isn't always something that has to have the best lawn in it, that you could just let that grow, or like he even recommended is throw some seed down. But I would do a little more research on it. I'll look it up a little further and find out the rest of the drawbacks on that.
Is there any kind of seed that you can throw in besides Bahia?
They do have centipede. What's your predominant lawn? What's your front lawn? St. Augustine?
St. Augustine, yes.
Okay. Some people try to mix centipede with it, even though centipede doesn't like as much fertilizer. It's, if you fertilize centipede too much, it'll actually turn yellow. But it's, so it's kind of hard to mix with a St. Augustine. But there's, basically your Bahia is, one of the better options, except if you're so shaded that it's not going to grow, you may not, the Bermuda, if your St. Augustine isn't growing back there, the Bahia may not either.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. That's, with the problem with some of that, trying to reseed, there's a couple of different seed mixes and blends that are out there on the market, and they'll say contractors blend or landscapers blend. It is Bermuda, and it's ryegrass. Well, the ryegrass is generally annual for us. It's going to die off when it gets hot, but it comes up, it's green, it grows. It holds down the dirt, especially if you've had maybe septic tank work done, things like that, where they need to replace the grass quickly and cheaply for you. The other thing that's in it is Bermuda, and Bermuda is, again, not necessarily the best turf. I'll look that up on there again on trying to remember what the other drawbacks were on why it's not really recommended. I know they sell a ton of seed for it, but I do remember the mite being an issue, that if you get that mite in the lawn, there's no getting rid of it.
Uh-huh.
So,
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I guess one man's weed is not necessarily a weed.
Right. Some folks, and there are people who do it. Like I said, it's marketed, it's sold. The two of the seed manufacturers, some of the big name ones out there, they sell it by the jugful. It'll grow in concrete. Well, maybe you don't want something that's going to grow that well, necessarily, because it can become weedy if it's like that. And like I said, the Bermuda, my understanding, it creeps in to people's lawns from golf courses. There are wild Bermudas that will reseed themselves, and it becomes weedy. It comes up and...
So the ability to grow on concrete, I have a question about that. If, let's say, you have a piece of property and there used to be a driveway, and nobody ever uses it anymore for that, but it's going to be expensive to tear it up or difficult or whatever, you could actually grow over it, huh?
Well, it would be the kind of thing is usually when they say that it's like the dirty paving stones, they'll give you the demonstration. This is so hardy, it'll grow anywhere, and they'll throw seed on it. And if it's kept moist, if there's just a little bit of dirt for that to put some root on to where it can stay moist, it'll grow.
Something like crabgrass, that seems to be a ground-hugging vine.
Right.
It seems viney.
We'll cover over an area if it's not driven on.
Is it called spidergrass? Is that another one, or is that the same thing?
Well, there's a couple different crabgrasses out there. I mean, the one that grows well in my yard in a real shady area, we just mow it. I have grass in that spot all summer long, and then it dies in the wintertime, and kind of look forward to it coming back because it holds the dirt down in that area.
So what is the grass like when you see a new house, especially in a new area? Because the new houses in the new areas seem to have more sand than the new houses in the old areas. You know what I mean? It looks whiter.
It actually depends. There's some areas in Marion County that have a lot more sugar sand in it than.
But it seems like if I drive through, let's see, like Marion Oaks or wherever, it's like there's never been a house there before.
Right.
And they're building a house.
Pasture,
it looks like sand.
Right.
And they usually put like like plugs of grass, I guess.
That's probably
and then they spread, I guess.
Yeah, it could be. Usually, if they're doing plugs, a lot of times that is a St. Augustine. It could be out in Marion Oaks. It might be Bahia. Some of the newer, I know down the Villages. I think even part of On Top of the World. A couple of the other developments are actually they're using zoysia, but there's really just the Empire zoysia that's recommended in our area, and that's usually comes in, as far as I know, by sod. And so they'll lay that sod down, and it's an instant lawn. This time of year, it would be an instant brown lawn, but that's okay. It'll take root and begin to grow.
Zoysia is the grass that is advertised in the magazines.
It is, but the ones that are advertised in the magazines are not necessarily.
Is that really that
Empire.
green? They look so
They
green.
can be. There's many different varieties of zoysia, and like I said, the one for Central Florida. There's other ones marketed, but the one that is recommended is the Empire. Now, the only way I've seen it is from sod or plugs. You go in a store, you can find zoysia seed, but when you look at it, it's like Commodore, I think, is one of them, and I forget the name of the other one. I'm not sure whether or not it will look like the Empire. If it's going to match, if it's going to match your coloring, if it's going to match the width on the blade, because each grass is a little bit different, it's not necessarily something you would want to reseed over on that. I'm not sure what the lawn maintenance guys think about on that, or the sod growers, what their thought is on mixing some of the other different varieties on there. If you say you find yourself with a bare spot, to me, it's you got a bare spot, go buy a piece of sod. It's not that expensive.
And
we got a call?
We do have a phone call.
Great.
I wasn't sure if you were ready. Good morning. Yeah. You're on the air with Carol Ann.
Yeah, good morning, Carol Ann.
Good morning.
Say, living here in Florida, like in the winter time, you get a frost or a pretty good freeze. The grasses all turn, brownish. You know what I mean? They'll spread. But you take a ride out in the country, and you see where these cattle are grazing on it, and this grass is green. I know it's like pasture grass.
Right.
Why can't a person get that and put them in your own yard?
It's rye. Generally, that's ryegrass. They overseed with a rye as well.
Oh, I see. That's what that is. Yeah.
Yeah, when you drive through, because you'll see some areas that'll be that lush green, and then the next portion of that, possibly the same farm, may even have just some regular winter brown areas. You go down the road, there's another 1,000 acres of lush green, and then some more that's just brown, and it's those folks overseed.
Oh, what they call a pasture grass? Is that
that's one of the Bahia is one of the pasture grasses.
Oh, okay.
That's go ahead.
And with speaking of grasses now, like with St. Augustine, why does that grass need so much more water than the other grasses?
It's a wider blade grass, so it's going to transpire more water out of its leaf base, just with the sun and the wind, just as a naturally occurring. And for it to maintain its health, it needs it. The zoysia really was one of those things they said, it doesn't need as much water. It still needs a pretty good amount of water, but it will survive, I guess, a little bit better, though it does take a while to recover from a drought time. But the best thing you can do for your lawn is, instead of watering it all the time, is watering it like we always go through, is water it deeply, less frequently. Let the grass tell you it's time for water, and then water. And that, that's when it starts to lose the nice lush color, or footprints begin to stay on the lawn, or that leaf blade begins to fold over. And then know it's truly time that grass really wants that water and will utilize all of that water and encourage that root zone to get deeper. Once you've got a deeper root zone, you've got a better, a grass that doesn't need as much water.
Yeah, I've actually read and heard that that St. Augustine grass is actually outlawed in many parts of Florida because of the fact that it uses so much water.
They were not allowing it to be used, and I want to say it's like Hillsborough or Pinellas County. You get down in that area over there, but they also have some very, to say you're not allowed to put it in. They're also the same counties that on the 1st of June you will not buy a fertilizer that contains nitrogen in it off the shelf in a store. Oh. And that to me is, let's not get to that point. If they, that's just not the way to go. That's
right. Is St. Augustine, is that native to Florida?
No, it's not. No, they're all hybrids of what we grow is a hybrid. And again, they're bred for the chinch bug resistance, but they, I'm not exactly sure. I can't remember now where it actually is native. If you notice, everybody says, well, it's so much like crabgrass. It's, one of those kind of things that elsewhere it's a weed because it grows pretty well, actually, good ways South Florida. And then again, it'll do pretty good, as far as I know, up into northern Florida and into Georgia, and does pretty good.
I know coming from the north, myself and a lot of people I knew always had what they call that Kentucky blue-green grass.
Right, the bluegrass, right.
Yeah, that's a wonderful grass, but I guess the climate down here is just not acceptable for it.
No, it's not. And it's usually what it is again, our winters are not consistent. We don't get cold and stay cold. And then our summers are so, we come into a wet, a hot, dry spring, and then we have a very hot, very wet summer that extends all the way into the late summer, early fall time, where we're still very hot, very wet, where you end up with a lot of the fungal issues and the grass can't go dormant. And that's what those other lawns need. We grow what they call warm season grasses. And the other ones are cool season season grasses. They're cold climate grasses.
Yeah. Well, after this final cold spell I hope we're going to be having here in a day or two or whatever, I hope we can get our grasses start greening up again and get going in the right direction. But let's just hope that this is the last cold spell.
Oh, I don't know. We may get a couple more. It's the end of January, and we've only had, I've heard one thunderstorm. Friend that's to the northeast of me has heard two, and it usually takes three. Before you're going to get, a gradual warming coming into that springtime.
Oh, yeah. Well, everybody gets kind of antsy. We've had, after the holidays, you had enough winter and the cold and frost and whatnot, and everybody's looking forward to the warm time of year again. But like I tell my neighbors, they're antsy like myself. Well, before you know it, we'll be air conditioning again, and that ain't so much fun either,
see, but I can take the heat. Give me the heat any day. I can't take the cold. Don't like the cold.
Okay, nice talking. Thank you.
You too. Have a good day. That's this time of year. It is one of those things that we start looking forward to doing all of those, getting back, that we want the grass to green up again. But now it's looking out just the little patch you can see from here. It looks pretty. It doesn't look too bad. It's got a little bit of winter.
Looks fine to me.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I mean, if you look kind of close to it, you're seeing a little bit of winter yellow from it, but it's natural. It's normal. Here, they probably have irrigation. I haven't been here early enough in the morning to see whether or not they are irrigating. I would just figure that they are at least somewhat in order to to keep that looking as nice as it does.
Right.
That most of the time that's when you see all the landscapes in front of the shopping centers and stuff, it's because they do have irrigation. Same way with medians in communities or the public areas in some of the gated communities and things. I have people come up to me all the time of this plant, I see it all the time. I want it, and I want to put it in a location contrary to where it would normally be. Usually they're wanting to put up a shade-loving, like begonias and such, out in the sun. And they say, well, I saw it at such and such, and it's full sun there. Well, unless you're standing out there all day long, you're not real positive that it truly is full, out in full sun.
Right,
there may
right,
be a
right.
building, there may be a sign, there may be some other trees that as that sun moves around shades it. But it's also a good possibility that those areas are irrigated. They could be irrigated with, the runoff water, the reclaimed water, where this is how we get rid of it, is to then pump it back to the median strips, to the golf courses, things like that.
Right,
That's how they disperse that and lower that level. So they're getting a lot more water than it would necessarily in your own landscape, and a little more shade, even though you swear it's growing out in full sun. You may be seeing it at 9 o'clock in the morning, where that sun's not near as intense as it would be at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So pay attention to the tags, and if you really do like something, watch it a couple of different times. Look at it and see whether or not they're not. Sometimes your communities and such, those municipalities, can pull plants out and put new ones in on a much more regular basis than you are, because they're either growing them themselves or they're contract growing them, where they can, in order to keep that nice, those plants may only stay in there for 2 months.
Oh, I'll never forget when we did the broadcast from Disney World.
Yes.
We met Joe and Patsy. Robin and I met Joe and Patsy down behind some hotel, and we were actually there before the park really opened.
Right.
And there were like golf carts of gardeners just all over the place.
Yes.
In some cases, removing whole trees.
Yes.
And then bringing them back before the park opened. It was just amazing to watch.
Yes, that they will swap out, and they have in the background of Disney, and not just Disney here in Florida, but in California also, the background, in order to keep that immaculate, is a whole nother industry.
Yeah, it was amazing to watch.
It is amazing. I haven't gone and done the tour, but I have seen video of it on some of the even more behind the scenes that even the tour doesn't get you to, the swapping out and just changing over. But like you say, it's a whole nother place in that early morning or even in the overnight hours, where they just clean everything up. There's not everything's mowed, it's all swept, it's all perfectly pruned, everything's upkept. And the growing of the topiaries and things like that are in
those
there.
guys are out there before any of us walk into that park.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
it was kind of cool. It's the
That
first
is
time I had
neat.
ever done that. You ready to give something away?
Let's give something away.
I have a $20 gift certificate to Bob Wine's Community Garden Nursery.
Cool.
It'll go to the person who answers the trivia question.
All right.
The number to call to answer the question is 622-WOCA. That is the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline. And here's the question. You ready?
Yep.
All right. I'm looking for a crop. And this crop was introduced to the United States in the mid-1800s as a forage crop for livestock. The Department of Agriculture was formed, and it became a main agricultural crop until it was realized that corn and wheat could bring in a lot more money. It is still grown as a staple crop in some countries, like Africa. It produces 17 tons per acre, and the seeds of this crop that we're looking for the answer of are often ground for flour. They're toasted for hot cereal like oatmeal, and they're even fermented to make beer. So what crop am I talking about?
Oh.
I'll give you a hint. It was mentioned in today's show. It's a crop.
Oh.
It's traditionally food in India and Africa, introduced into the United States in the mid-1800s as a forage crop for livestock, just to repeat.
Right.
And if you tell me what I'm talking about, you get $20 to Bob Wine's Community Gardens and Nursery. 622-9622 is the phone number. Again, the Department of Agriculture was formed, and it became a main agricultural crop. Until somebody realized that corn and wheat would be more lucrative, more money.
Would bring in more money.
But it's still used.
It's still used.
As a main staple crop in some countries today. 17 tons per acre. You can make beer out of the stuff. Who knew? Wait till you hear what this is if you didn't already figure it out.
Yeah, I think I know
Come
what
on,
it is.
What do you think I'm talking about?
Well, the only word mentioned was rye, so I'm going with rye.
No, not rye.
Oh, it wasn't rye.
No.
Ah.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, not rye. Good morning. Do you know? Did I hit a button? Good morning. Do you know? No. Good morning. Do you know?
Yeah, is it barley?
No, not barley.
Okay.
No.
Thanks.
It was mentioned quite frequently today. A lot. You mentioned it a lot.
I didn't know. Well, all the other ones I mentioned, I didn't think you could.
Good morning. What do you think I'm talking about?
Oats?
What? No, not oats. No, not oats. We didn't mention oats today, I don't think.
No.
Good morning. Do you know what I'm talking about?
We talking about sorghum?
No. No, not sorghum. All right. I've stumped everybody.
Yeah, I was going to say, because the one I thought for sure it was rye.
Let me read you the entire paragraph,
Right.
and I will leave the blank where it mentions the name of what I'm looking for.
Okay.
Here's what it says. It is believed that blank was cultivated as early as the Stone Age, and by 2700 BC, it was an important grain crop in China. Blank is a traditional food in India and Africa, but was introduced into the United States in the mid-1800s as a forage crop for livestock. Are you lost?
Now, well, Joe's putting one up, but we never mentioned that word.
When the Department of Agriculture was formed, blank became a main agricultural crop. That is, until everyone realized that corn and wheat brought in a lot more money. Still, blank is grown as a staple crop in some countries today, like Africa, where it can produce 17 tons per acre. The seeds are ground for flour or toasted for hot cereal like oatmeal or even fermented to make beer. That's the whole paragraph. Joe thinks he knows what it is?
Joe knows what it is?
What is it?
Well, let's see. No, he lost his paper.
No, not rice. No, not rice.
Yeah.
It's something you mentioned a lot today. Oh, wow. No winners. I
went through, I had rye.
As soon as you mention it, I'll say you got it. Because you mentioned it.
Bahia.
No.
Not so. No.
Wow.
We didn't talk about corn.
No, not corn.
I mean, it wasn't saw blades.
No, not saw blades. But you're
I mean, it was all that we had. Rye. We had Bermuda.
Right.
We had St. Augustine.
Right.
Zoysia.
Right.
What is it? You got us stumped.
Crabgrass.
Crabgrass. Who'd have thunk?
I know.
No wonder no wonder they're raising it elsewhere. No wonder we have a problem. Where'd they bring that from?
It says I'll print this up for you so you have it because this is going to be one.
That's a trivia question.
I'm hitting the print button right now. Yeah, and let me tell you where I got it so everybody else can look it up. And I'll ask Robin to put it on Facebook. Let's see. I got it at greengrassok.com.
Huh.
Greengrassok.com.
See, it should have been rye. I mean, rye uses all that same stuff.
Apparently, crabgrass is more useful than we thought.
More useful than we thought, yeah. Here we go. Watch out. It's going to be planted in gardens. Who knows?
Still used it. You can make beer out of it. Who knew?
We're going to do some research on this.
So nobody gets it?
Nobody gets
So
it.
we just
Till
kind of
next
wave
week.
it until somebody calls?
Could.
All right. Somebody call. You got the $20. It's up for grabs.
It's up for grabs.
We just need one person to call.
I know you're not going to buy crabgrass seed anywhere.
They don't sell that, huh?
I don't believe so.
Wow. They might be able to. All right. Well, thank you, Caroline.
Thanks, Larry.
That was fun.
Have a great day.
All right. We'll take a little break. We'll be right back.
Here's what you may have missed on the John Tesh Radio Show.
Did you know when it comes to getting a job today, a tweet has become the new resume? For most hiring managers, Twitter is key to interaction. Body language communicates emotions much more effectively than facial expressions. Tilt your head if you want to show you're interested, or lean forward if you're sitting, and don't cross your arms. If you have a job interview coming up, then wear a suit, even if you're interviewing for a job at McDonald's.
Intelligence for your life on the John Tesh Radio Show. Don't miss this stuff.
Hi, this is Joe from Damage Control Services. Join me Tuesdays at 10:30 when we discuss what to do when your property gets damaged, how to fix it fast, and get back on track. At Damage Control, we specialize in helping home and business owners recover from damage caused by floods, fires, storms, tree damage, mold, and all other insurance-related disasters. So when disaster strikes, big or small, call Damage Control Services. Call me 352-817-6574.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram, CEO of Gateway Bank, inviting you to drop by our main office on Silver Springs Boulevard every Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. for the Community Gazette, a 3-hour show focusing on our favorite community to live and work, Ocala, Marion County. Come join us with the voice of Ocala, Buddy Martin, in the new old-fashioned bank radio studio as we discuss a variety of interesting topics on the Community Gazette on WOCA, The Source.
Good credits, bad credits. It's none of our business because we're not an auto dealer. We're not a bank. We're not your mother. We're OcalaForSale.com, Marion County's marketplace for cars, trucks, and SUVs. We've got thousands of sellers standing by to take your call. No middleman. But hurry, don't walk, don't run. Just sit down and log on to OcalaForSale.com. Prices and inventory change daily. Offer does not include dealer upcharge, undercutting, rust proofing, factory surcharge, or delivery fee. See website for details.
Phoenix Promotional Solutions, your company supplier of banners, digital decals, yard signs, and magnetic signs. Where you give them approved artwork by noon, the next day by 4 p.m., you pick up your banners, digital decals, yard signs, and magnetic signs. Phoenix Promotional Solutions, 368-2404. That's 368-2404. Don't forget, they do vehicle wraps also. Phoenix Promotional Solutions, 368-2404.
How good does it get? Golf has long been considered to be sport's most prestigious game, and WOCA has your connection to everything in the golf world. Every first and third Thursday at 10 a.m., tune in for Let's Talk Golf with your host, PGA professional and teacher to the stars, Jim Beckett, and operations manager,